It's September. School vacations have ended and classes have started. Meanwhile, in Albany, the State Board of Regents is considering optional pathways to graduation and its search for a new education commissioner. I welcome my guest, the Chancellor of the New York State Board of Regents, Dr. Betty Rosa, to discuss how the board's work on these projects is progressing. Chancellor Betty Rosa, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. I know I mentioned to you the day you became Chancellor, I reached out to you, was hoping that we could do this, and here we are 4 years later. We finally made it happen. So, Commissioner Mary Ellen Elia rather suddenly announced that she was planning to resign her position as commissioner, immediately putting the Board of Regents on notice that they better be thinking about what they're going to look for in the next commissioner. So I want to ask you a few questions about that, because I assume you'll be leading that search. Mm-hmm. Have you thought about some of those personal and professional characteristics that are important to you and perhaps important to other members of the board as they search for a new commissioner?
Well, I have been on the board for 11 years, and so I have had the experience and the privilege of working with different commissioners and different styles and under different circumstances that they were placed in the position. And so I think in reflecting on the positives and the contributions each one has made to the position, it has given me an opportunity to begin to think with the board about the next steps. And so the first part is obviously reflecting on the contributions that Commissioner Elia has made to the landscape and this situation. And then how do you build on what's already been done and move that to the next step? But rather trying to find an individual that could take this state to the next level.
You need somebody who's the chief education officer for the state.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be a unique position, not easy to fill. Are there going to be some things that you think are going to be immediately major issues?
Absolutely. I think that just like when Commissioner Elia stepped into the role, we were in a very, I would say challenging is a soft way of saying it. It was tempestuous. It was a time that we were facing many challenges with Common Core and looking at APPR and many of the issues that, by the way, we still are grappling with.
Sure.
So those issues, some of those issues have not disappeared, but certainly I think we have a better handle on those. I do think that the issue of trying to identify an individual that can help us to look at and examine where the state needs to be, not only on a national basis, but also from a local basis, looking at all of our needs of all of our students, from rural, urban, suburban, or the combination. So I think the idea that we have somebody that has the depth of understanding of New York State would certainly be something I would be very interested in. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get ahead of the board, but I do think that having the knowledge of the very specific issues of New York State is key.
And I will give Commissioner Elia credit for she hit the road.
Absolutely.
And she went out everywhere and she did everything she could to learn as much as she could about the different provincial interests around the state. And I suspect that will be a high expectation for people around this state when the new commissioner arrives.
Well, I think she also had an advantage that she had been part of New York State before she left.
That's right. That's
so
right.
she was somebody who was going through a re-entry process, not necessarily coming from the outside.
Let's switch gears now. And sure. I wish you the best of luck with that search.
Thank you.
Graduation requirements. Mm-hmm. You had made notice, and it actually was first published in our On Board newspaper, that you had an interest in taking a look at graduation requirements. And we agree that this is something that we need to look at. The dimes have changed. The question I have for you is, do you think the graduation requirements that are in place right now are too rigorous or too impractical for some students?
On a personal level, to respond to it, I don't think it's a question whether what we currently have is too rigorous. I don't think you could ever have a situation that you would classify, for some students, it may not even be rigorous enough. And for others, it may not even be a question of rigor, but maybe of practical practice. It may not be the right composite.
This
for
gets
their
us all
needs.
to this concept of multiple pathways.
Correct.
And that's what you're getting at. Not one size fits all. We got to go find kids where they're at and work with them from that point.
Absolutely, and multiple measures.
Yeah.
That it's the idea that we only measure in looking at a student's composite, measuring in using one or two or three different methodologies, I think is an incomplete story. And many of our students are shortchanged as a result of it, because the talents can be displayed in so many different ways. And we want to encourage our schools, our districts, to look at students' successes in so many ways and opportunities, and for students to have a richer environment that takes their natural curiosity and extends it to a level that maybe in some cases we couldn't even imagine.
Well, we at the New York State School Boards Association view your Board of Regents as the State Board of Education, so to speak. And we recognize the importance of the work that you do in putting together standards and curriculum and having graduation requirements that we all can have faith in, helping create an educational environment here in New York that can make us proud. And so thank you for that. Thank you for being here today. And on behalf of the members of the New York State School Board Association, myself, Chancellor Betty Rosa, I really do appreciate the time we've spent here together.
Well, thank you
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
opportunity.
Thanks to my guest, Board of Regents Chancellor Dr. Betty Rosa. At the conclusion of this video, you will have the opportunity to view the extended interview. Have a good day.